Tonight we continue our News 10 special report looking into a potential merger between Jackson County Fire District 3 and Medford Fire and Rescue.
News 10's Caitlin Conrad investigates why we're already seeing the two agencies working closer together.
Medford Fire and Rescue and Fire District No. 3 have a long history of working together. For decades, they've kept a mutual aid agreement, but recently you'll see the two agencies on more calls together.
Today, a person who has a heart attack in Central Point, close to Medford, will get the closest engine, whether it's Medford or the engine in Central Point.
Fire District 3 Chief Dan Petersen says they're trying out something called closest forces response, which means crews are paying a little bit more attention to where engines are and a little bit less attention to what jurisdiction they're coming from.
Our overarching goal is to get the closest qualified unit to every emergency call as quickly as possible.
However, jurisdiction is still important. Because closest forces or not, it still determines who is paying for what. Medford's Deputy Fire Chief Gordon Sletmoe says the new response initiative will be examined in the cooperative study the city and District 3 have contracted. The company conducting the study, Emergency Services Consulting International, will also be looking at how the two agencies work, as well as the finances.
We have an urban and a rural, and Medford primarily has an urban, but we deploy the same way.
While the two agencies are similar, there are some key differences in the areas covered and the financial operations. D3 covers an area 3 times as large. However, Medford Fire provides service for a population 2 times bigger. District 3 has a $15 million+ general fund budget and about $2.5 million for capital. Medford Fire operates on a $12 million budget plus $11.4 million for capital and $1 to $2 million for indirect cost allocation. That means Medford Fire has to pay the city for things it has built in, like legal, finance, and maintenance. Costs a district has to cover on its own.
In a fire district, they pay for everything. They either have an employee who does it or they pay for it.
The differences don't stop there. Sletmoe says Medford Fire goes on more calls per year than D3, and they get there faster because they don't have to travel as far. District 3 has more extensive training in water rescue. Medford has the Valley's hazmat team.
So there's a lot of areas where we're both specializing that will complement each other. And there's a few areas where we both need to learn each other's districts.
Petersen says when you boil it down, what the two parties are looking for is an answer to this question. Can we serve the public better for less? Covering your news in Jackson County, Caitlin Conrad, News 10.
And tomorrow night on News 10, we introduce another piece of the puzzle, Medford Rural District 2, an agency with a city contract and titles to half of Medford's fire engines. Recently in Oregon, the Eugene and Springfield fire departments merged. While both departments are operating 2 separate city budgets, the chief says the savings have been increasing over the last few years. For instance, the total combined budget for the 2 departments plus ambulance funds is about $49 million. Last year, the 2 departments saved more than $1.1 million. For this fiscal year, it's projected the savings will be about $1.5 million, or about 3%.